Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Force Strategy Gaming. Protoss strategy for you here today. We're going to be looking at a very strong Protoss versus Zerg strategy. This is going to be a 6-gate level 1 push coming off of a Forge Fast Expand. Incredibly strong build. It will work very well. It is map specific in the sense that it will be most effective on any maps where your natural expansion has somewhat of a choke point. You can see fairly narrow choke point here, and this allows Slider to come off with this nice wall off. Now, as mentioned, it is a Protoss versus Zerg strategy. You can see right now scouting out the Zerg opponent here. But yes, Forge Fast Expand moving into a 6-gate level 1 weapons push. So very effective for numerous reasons, and it is going to be most effective if your Zerg opponent responds by going out for a quick third. And you might say, well, that's kind of silly. Why would my Zerg opponent come out with a quick third expansion? A lot of players, when they see a Protoss player Forge Fast expanding, will come out with a third. And the reason is because Zerg generally needs to stay one base above their Protoss or Terran opponent. So if they see that the Protoss player is quick expanding with something like this, a Forge Fast expand, they'll say, you know what, I need to come out with a third. Now, the other response to that is, instead of coming out with a third, they'll stay on their two bases and they'll try to hit. A good example is a heavy roach and, a roach and heavy speedling push. You can defend yourself against that if you come out with sentries early on. So if you scout that out or you think that it's coming, make sure you get a couple of sentries early on. That will allow you to defend yourself, dropping some force fields plus any cannons and rebuilding your wall if they break through anything is what will let you defend against that. But let me talk about the build here, and I want to talk about again why it's so effective. So a Zerg player scouts out this Forge Fast Expand, then they plan to move into their third, and you can see right now already Imbelowi has moved into his third expansion. Now, the build order for this, let me run on by that before we get into any kind of further detail. Starting things off with a 9 Pylon, then a 15 Forge, and then what we saw here was a 17 Nexus and then a 17 Cannon. Now I want to talk about that quickly before we go more into the build order. The reason we saw Nexus instead of Cannon first was because in scouting out the Zerg player, he saw the pool timing. He realized this isn't an early pool. It's not like a 10 pool or something absurd like a 6 pool, and he realized that he was safe to go Nexus first and then Cannon. If you scout out your Zerg opponent after dropping your Forge and you're ready to drop either your Nexus or your first Cannon, and if you see a very early pool, drop your Cannon first. That's the safer route. But yes, we saw a 17 Nexus, then a 17 Cannon, and 17 Gateway. Then a 19 supply, 2 Assimilators here in the main. 21 supply was that Cybernetics Core. That finishes at 30 supply. You start your Warp Gate research right away. And then at 36 supply, we're going to see 5 additional Gateways get dropped. There is number 5 right there. Still keeping up scouting, and actually Slider moving out here with the Stalker. That's a little bit dangerous though, that could lose to the Zerglings. But yes, setting up here those 5 additional gateways at 36. Right after that starts your level 1 upgrade. You want to try to get that timed so that once these, once you start your gateways are finished and your warp gate is in, you'll be right about that level 1 upgrade finishing. So go ahead and get a couple of chrono boosts down on that as well, and that'll put you at a really good timing for this very strong, again, 6-gate level 1 push. So very effective, keeping up pro production here as well. You can see right now that Warp Gate tech has finished. So the next big thing is, okay, I've got my 6 gates, my level 1's coming through. We can see right now Slider is chrono boosting that out, trying to get a little bit of vision. He does have a probe out as well. This is going to be very important because you need proxy pylons. The next thing is, what do I do with these first warp-ins? Well, what we're seeing Slider do here, and this is what I really strongly suggest, is go sentry heavy for that first big warp-in. Once you've got all 6 gateways up and the warp gates are in, and that level 1 upgrade's getting close to finish, you want to start off with those sentries. Now, we're going to see 4 here. You can even go up to possibly even 5 or 6. The reason he did just those 4 and then those 2 Zealots is because he wanted those 2 Zealots to defend those sentries just in case some Zerglings happen to catch them. But getting those sentries first is going to allow you to save up energy to go ahead and drop some force fields. And this will be very important because they're likely to mass up speedlings once they see this push coming. You can see right now, massing up the speedlings here, so giving your sentries some time to build up their energy. After that, it is suggested that you just go Zealot Stalker once you have those initial 4 to 6, those 4 to 6 sentries. But as you saw, basically right as this push was hitting the expansion, the level 1 upgrade finished, and that's exactly what you want. Now we are going to see Slider do what, we're going to see Imbelowi do what you're supposed to do, and that's bunch up those Zerglings and get ready for the engagement. Once you have them all together, you want to push in. But the big thing here as a Protoss player, and what you really want to make sure you do, is have good positioning. Protect your sentries in the middle and allow your Zealots to get to the front. Those force fields need to be used to protect your sentries and your stalkers. Let the Zealots get hit by the Zerglings. Unless you were vastly outnumbered, they're enough to be able to tank them. And you saw that engagement that was really completely one-sided because of those force fields and the nice positioning, and that's when the Zerg player just called GG. Now, as with any type of opening build, this isn't something that's guaranteed to win you the game. But the point is to do a lot of damage and at the very least take out an expansion. As mentioned, a Zerg player scouts out a Forge Fast expand. It is not unheard of that they will then move into the third. As I said, if you think that a Roach mass speedling, and you'll figure this out by scouting and getting some probes or some stalkers early game into their base, if you think that a Roach mass speedling build is coming, make sure you get a sentry or two. It'll allow you to get some force fields, and that'll really help defend you. But again, if they go into a third, the issue is that they lack the army size to be able to defend against that initial push. And as such, you saw the Zerg player did not have enough to defend that expansion. And once he did mass up enough Zerglings to actually be able to take out this, we saw some very nice placed force fields. Again, you need to, with those force fields, protect your stalkers and also protect your sentries, and let those Zealots go ahead and tank those Zerglings, and also trying to make sure that you're fighting in any sort of a choke point that helps make that force field wall much easier to actually pull off. So let me go into the build order here, wrapping things up. It was 9 Pylon, 15 Forge, 17 Nexus, 17 Cannon, and then 17 Gateway. Remember, the order can change depending on what you scout. If you see an early pool, it would be wise to get that Cannon and Gateway first and then move into your Nexus. But scouting out the Zerg player, he saw that the pool wasn't necessarily a fast one, and he had the time, especially given the fact that this map is so very large, he had the time to go Nexus first and then Cannon and Gateway. Then at 19 supply, we saw these two Assimilators over here inside of the main. 21 supply getting that Cybernetics Core. 30 supplies when the Warp Gate research started. 36 supply, 5 additional gateways. Right after those drop, go ahead and start your level 1 upgrade. Chrono boost that out a few times. Make sure you get that out nice and timely. And then comes the push, and as mentioned prior, get a few sentries, 4 to 6 in that initial warp in, and then from that point forward, stalkers and zealots. Once the engagement happens, just protect your stalkers and sentries, let those zealots tank, and this will be a strong push. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you have enjoyed this Protoss strategy. As always, guys, if you like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks again. Keep watching and keep owning.